I've met some great people that are Republicans, and I've met some great people. Frankly, I've met some good people, not necessarily great people, that are Democrats. And I actually think we'll have Democratic support. The one thing with the Democrats, they stay together like glue. They're lousy politicians, and their policies are terrible, but they do stick together. We have great policies, but the Republicans tend not to be as unified.
That was the backdrop for that interview tonight, a hangar full of supporters prior to the president's speech, and then it aired afterwards. President Trump tonight with a kind of backhanded compliment there for Democrats. Again, he sat down to be interviewed for Sean Hannity on Fox News tonight in Pennsylvania. Today's interview comes on the heels of an LA Times report revealing fresh frustrations inside the West Wing. Some of the irritation stemming from Trump's relationship with those outside his senior staff. Quote, allies see signs that Trump is frustrated with Chief of Staff. Oh, man, we'll get it.
Chief of Staff.
Yeah, I know. It's about a conversation we were having here. Chief of Staff John Kelly, and increasingly unwilling to be managed, even just a little. The person close to the White House said the two men had engaged in shouting matches in recent days. President has started to call people more on the weekends from the cell phone, which he didn't used to do, the person said, noting that Trump often calls Hannity after the Fox News host's nightly show. Tonight, Trump was, of course, Hannity's guest. He took time to tout his tax plan, talk about the progress of the border wall, and downplay the investigation into Russian collusion during the campaign.
Russia was an excuse used by the Democrats when they lost the election. They said, why did you lose the election? They said, it was Russia. Russia. It wasn't Russia. It was a bad candidate. Then they say, and it was Trump that colluded with Russia. I'm saying, I did? So look, here's the story, and I think it's so important. This was an excuse by the Democrats, and people got carried away.
With us to talk about all of it, Phil Rucker, White House bureau chief for The Washington Post and an MSNBC political analyst, Anita Kumar, White House correspondent for McClatchy Newspapers, and Sam Stein, veteran political journalist, now politics editor for The Daily Beast and an MSNBC political analyst. Welcome to you all. Mr. Rucker, I'd like to start with you. First of all, you hear there the language of the threat of an existential challenge to his own election. We hear it often. We hear it in those words. Second, we're also hearing words that are serious, that grab you, that get your attention, like unraveling and unstable. Regarding a sitting president, we haven't heard this since Nixon's final days, since his drinking days, his sullen, depressed, lugubrious days inside the residence portion of the White House. Phil, this is serious language.
It really is, and I can tell you I'm hearing it from people inside the White House and on the outside that there's a lot of concern about this president's foul moods. He's basically been unhappy in this job for many months, but especially now as his agenda is stalled, as the Russia investigation heats up, he's concerned. He has had frustrations, moments of tension with Chief of Staff John Kelly, although I should note there's no indication that Kelly's going to either be fired or quit imminently, that's for sure. But this is a problem for the president. And you're right, it's a historic moment here, and you know, we should take this seriously.
Anita, a question I always try to ask you: how did the Trump agenda move ahead today?
Well, the president was out there trying to get back to tax reform. That was what that event you were talking about in Pennsylvania was. But, you know, he tried to use this interview that you mentioned to talk about that, talk about other issues. I heard a lot of very familiar things in that interview, things he wanted to get out, and he had a very friendly audience there cheering him on with Sean Hannity as well. So how did it move forward? They're trying to move forward on tax reform, but, you know, this is after the last week of having to deal with criticism over how he handled Puerto Rico and the hurricane, and then his tweet storm about Senator Bob Corker on Sunday. So, you know, he got off topic, and now he's trying to get back on, and that's just not the way things are going to get done.
Sam, how far is this from normal? And
Quite.
where's Congress? What are they up to these days?
I think the Corker thing, and correct me if you think I'm wrong here, but I think the Corker thing opened up a real door to this presidency that people had been talking about, but really hadn't existed before, where you could openly discuss the stability of Trump himself.
Extraordinary.
And I thought this interview with Sean Hannity, which largely, I don't know how you don't make news out of a 50-minute interview with the president. He managed to accomplish it. What was interesting about the interview, though, was that what came after the interview, which is when Hannity started talking to his audience members.
I saw that.
And they all love Trump, and they all hate the Republican Congress. And there is a real break that's happening in front of us. Part of it, much of it facilitated by Trump. So when we talk about the inability of Trump to move his agenda, it's not just his own personal instability. It's this schism, this thing that's happening between him and the Republicans in Congress, where he doesn't quite realize that he needs them to do tax reform. He needs them to do health care. And the more you go after Bob Corker, the more you facilitate booing of John McCain, the harder your job is going to be.
But then you have this collision at the polls in 2018, 2020.
Sure.
You heard Mr. Bannon on Fox News this week, and he is talking, in effect, about a kind of a splinter team who may, the folks who may have R after their name, but it's going to be a different branch, a nationalist Bannonite branch.
Well, that's the big bet they're making, right? It's just you can scare the Republican incumbents into submission. That if you run a primary challenger against basically everyone, or at least threaten to do so, that they will vote for the Trump agenda. And, it's possible it can work. Bob Corker did not say these things until after he said he wasn't for re-election. He wasn't running for re-election. But there are going to be some Republicans, I guess, who say, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go out on a limb. If it costs me my seat, so be it. And, that's a huge gamble for the White House to take.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.